what's going on? This is Dr. Jeff May. I'm excited to be here today. This is another episode of Doctor's Orders, and it has been a spicy couple of weeks. I've been on the road training some doctors. Where were we? We were in Massachusetts. We were in Vermont last week, headed to Wisconsin next week. And for more information or checking out our why or how or what are we doing on that, you can go to painadvantage.com to check out the Softwave Tissue Regenerative Therapies. Pretty cool stuff. But today, that's not what we're going to be talking about. Today, what we're talking about is obviously I need to be adjusted because the title of this video or this podcast and video for those of you watching is, are you smarter under chiropractic care? Are you smarter under chiropractic care? Now, I've got some research to back it up before you guys start going into the witch doctor, the voodoo, the crack me like a glow stick, the you're not doing anything. You know, I've seen all those camps. I've done all those things. Listen, I've been a chiropractor for 14 years. There is not a week of my life that I want to live continually moving forward unless I'm getting checked and corrected neurologically, because guess what? The nerve system wins. The nerve system wins. And I actually got a little upset the other day. Shocking. I was watching these chiropractors online and it was just bizarre. It was weird. You know, here's the trend in chiropractic. You know, chiropractors, usually at some point, if they become very successful, they want to teach other people how to be successful. But what they really want to do is become a coach. And what they really want to do is try and make more money coaching other chiropractors than be a chiropractor themselves. And so it's like this just weird, chintzy deal, and it kind of pisses me off when I see it. So I saw that again, and I've seen this play out over the last 14 years. Now, there are some amazing chiropractic coaches out there. If you're a chiropractor and listening, use your discernment, use your judgment. My thing is that you cannot automatically assume because you've done something well, you can teach it. That does not correlate. But what I want to talk to you today about the core things, and I'm going to actually start out with the number one lie. The number one lie chiropractors tell their patients, and I actually tell all my patients, whether they've been a chiropractor or not, I ask them this question. I go, have you ever heard chiropractors explain a bone out of place pinching a nerve? And they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, even they had their fancy dancy spine and they're moving it around and they're holding it and they're saying, yeah, and they bent the spine and they're like, yeah, it pinches the nerve right here and this goes to your stomach and that's why you have acid reflux. I said, okay, well, first things first, no judgment against that chiropractor, but against the philosophy, that is not how it happens. That's a lie. That is a lie, kids. And so when we look at that, immediately the patient, one, feels lied to. And it's not to make them feel lied to, but it's the fact of the matter, unless you get hit by a bus, that you really don't have a bone out of place pinching a nerve. Now, you can have a herniated disc. You can have those different things that can physically rub up and touch a nerve. But what I want to talk to you about today is in with chiropractic, it's going to spill over into how well your brain functions. Now, that's a big gap. And you may think, well, Dr. Jeff, wow, you sound absolutely nuts. There's no way that can actually happen like that. Just because you get adjusted, you can't be smarter, all of these things. Well, I am glad you're here today because as we dive into this, the goal of this episode is to help you become more aware of the things you can do for you and for your family that will help you live a healthier, happier, and more productive life. Because the way of medicine, pills, drugs, surgery, and more pills, more drugs. I've had 2 teenage patients this week. Both of them on multiple medications, one on like 3 or 4 different medications, and my heart breaks. My heart breaks because what they're dealing with is not a deficiency in medications. What they're dealing with are neurological disorders, neurological communication things that need to be corrected. There need to be movement and exercises, and we're going to dive into that. So here we go. Where did this all start? Well, a couple of things. In 2002, there was a study done. I think it was the Journal of Applied Physiology. I can get the references if people really want them, but most of the time when people want references, they're like, well, I just want to make sure you're not lying and all these things. They don't ever want to read the research article. So 2002, it came out, and where they showed that decreased exercise increased a loss of a particular cell called the Purkinje cell in the brain. They're like it's literally brain cells. Remember when you were young and your parents were like, man, you should not do that. You're burning too many brain cells. Well, decreased exercise shows you lose brain cells. Now, what does that have to do with chiropractic? You may be thinking, well, Dr. Jeff, that doesn't have anything to do with chiropractic. People should be working out and doing their body. Yes, they should. But here's how it affects things. So I got to go into, and I'm going to teach you very, very shortly here, very quickly, about this thing called proprioception. So proprioception is how you know where you're at in space. If you were to close your eyes and raise your hand, for those of you watching online, you can see I have my eyes closed, my hand is raised. It's kind of hard on the podcast, but you can imagine this if you're just listening. And even though my eyes are closed, I know my hand is in the air because I can feel where it's at. That's a proprioceptive sensation. It's not because of anything else. So we have the 5 senses. We have touch, taste, smell. We have, I drew a blank on the other ones. We have touch, taste, smell, hearing, and eyesight. Okay. We were taught that at a very young age. Well, we actually have proprioception is another one, and we have nociception, which is the decreased, it's like the bad signals into the brain. It can be pain, but it blurs out other signals. Long story short, with proprioception, there are certain centers, there are certain parts of your spine and your body that relay. They have more proprioceptive receptors and signaling cells than most places in your body. Your spine is loaded with proprioceptive centers, and especially the upper part of your spine in your neck. Now, here's the cool thing. Due to decreased range of motion, this thing in chiropractic called subluxation, which some old school chiropractors still explain as a bone out of place pinching a nerve, but it's lack of normal range of motion. It affects neurological communication because you lose proprioception. Okay, there's these other things called mechanoreceptors in the spine that tell your spine and the vertebrae while they come together. There's loaded up mechanoreceptors of where you're at in space, because believe it or not, how do you know when to tighten up? How do you know when to guard or protect yourself? Well, your muscles know when to fire when we have abnormal ranges of motion and your body tries to protect itself. So these mechanoreceptors, the proprioception, they all work together to help your brain and your body be on a feedback loop. Now, we can measure this. This is why we have things going on in my office right now at myadvantagelife.com. If you're local, come check it out. Chiropractic specials, all these cool things. But the point of it is that when you have decreased range of motion, if you have decreased physiological range of motion, maybe restrictions, it could be arthritis, could be scar tissues, these abnormal movement patterns, even on the most basic level of the spine, that is going to alter your brain and body communication in terms of proprioception, knowing where you're at. Now, you build this up over time. That's going to affect the brain, and it's going to affect the pathways to do a lot of things. You see, your brain needs 3 things. Your brain cells need 3 things to thrive. All right. Now, you could probably guess some of these. Oxygen is the easy one. Breathing oxygen is a good thing. Practicing box breathing, it's one of my favorite. It's really good for your brain. Your brain needs food. Now, what kind of food does your brain have? It has glucose. It can use glucose, it can use ketone bodies, and it needs essential fatty acids. By the way, if you're not on an omega-3 fatty acid, your brain needs it. Okay, you're not making it in your body, and you're probably not getting it in your diet unless you're a seal in the ocean eating a ton of deep sea fish. I don't know. That's about the level of that. You want about 2 to 3 grams of omega-3 fatty acids a day, and making sure you're getting that. So your brain needs food, it needs oxygen, and what's the third thing? It needs stimulation. And that stimulation comes in the form of the feedback loops from your body, from the mechanoreceptors, from the proprioception, from knowing where it's at. It's how you stay cognitively alert. There are multiple studies on Alzheimer's, dementia patients. They actually did it in a lot of like lab rats, where they would make, the one set of rats, they would be more active, and the other ones they would keep in very closed containers. Oh, excuse me. But they would keep them in tight spaces to where they're not moving around as much. And they found that the rats that quote unquote had more exercise, they showed higher levels of cognitive function. Now, how does chiropractic play in that? Regular chiropractic adjustments. I'm not talking about my back went out. Your back never went out. You go out with your wife, you go out with your husband, you go out on a date, your back doesn't go out. So but most people, they think, oh, my neck went out, or I threw it out, or all these things. Well, here's the thing. I'm not talking about regular chiropractic for that. Yes, chiropractic can help in acute situations for pain, But what I'm talking about is where regular tune-ups to your brain and your body through the nervous system, through chiropractic, will help you function at a higher brain firing level because of the increased signaling and the better communication between your brain and your body. And we can measure this. We measure this with surface EMG. We measure it with thermal, and we measure it with heart rate variability, and let alone thousands and thousands of patients over the last 14 years and success stories. Like, look at our Google reviews, like all of this stuff. Last night we had some new patients in the office at the time of this recording. They're like, wow, it's really busy here. And here's what I always say. I say, you never want to go to a restaurant where nobody's eating. And why? And then I ask, why do you think that is? And they're like, well, the food sucks. Yeah, the food sucks. So when you come into my office and you notice how busy it is, and it's organized, and I mean, it's a well-oiled machine. My team is amazing. But the reason that is because we get results. And that's the key. And so I want to encourage you, if you're local, come check us out. If you're not and you need help, message us. We'll try and find you a chiropractor in the area. For you, currently, I'm looking for one in Columbus, Ohio. For a friend of mine, all these things. But what I want to drive home today is that there are studies right now showing that regular chiropractic care helps your brain function better, helps you function better. And you functioning better means you're a better husband, you're a better wife, you're better, father, mother, brother, sister, wherever you find yourself out in life. Life is better when you're well adjusted. And it makes sense down to the neurological level. So next time a chiropractor says, hey, bone out of place, pinching a nerve, say, nah, I listen to doctor's orders with Dr. Jeff C. May, and that is not how it happens. Thank you very much. And all those different things. So I want to encourage you guys, take some of this to heart. Get out, get moving, get adjusted, find a chiropractor, put it in part of your healthcare team. You need a success strategy for a healthy lifestyle. You really do. You need to sit down and strategize it. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours planning their dream home. Well, guess what? None of that matters if you can't go up and down the stairs. None of that matters unless you actually sit down and put some planning into the one thing that you have more control over probably than you ever have realized, and in most things in your life, and that is your health. Most of the things we go to the doctor for, this kicks me right in the teeth. Most of the things we go to the doctor for are things that we should have been taking care of ourselves, but because we didn't, because we lacked the focus, the integrity, the discipline. I mean, these are naughty words to some people, but because we lacked the self-responsibility in and around our daily health choices, we find ourselves in front of a total stranger most of the time, naked to the backside with a gown on, right? We're in such a vulnerable position. It's disgusting. And it's mainly all because of your daily tasks that you failed. You failed yourself to take action. So I want this message to hit hard. I want this to hit you where the good Lord split you and realize that you have a responsibility to yourself. Take inventory today, okay? Take inventory. I did a live video a couple weeks ago on that. Taking inventory. Have I moved today? Have I fed my body well with good meals? Have I put the proper nutrition in? Am I giving my brain what it needs? How's my mindset? There's so many key pieces to this. Keep it simple. And make sure you get up after listening to this podcast, wherever you're at, and take action. Just do something today. For crying out loud, do something today. If at anything, it's go to myadvantagelife.com, schedule your new patient appointment. That's one thing. If that's not it, go for a walk. I don't care what it is. Just do something today. And that is your doctor's orders.